The year 1995 was consumed by coverage of the O.J. Simpson trial, but by April, we would also be shocked by the actions of a domestic terrorist. The same year that People magazine named Brad Pitt the sexiest man alive, a television show called ER was topping the charts, with another star that would also earn that same People magazine title. 1995 also became the year that many of the internet's first big-name websites were started, including Yahoo and eBay. And who could forget hearing about those people standing in line at midnight to buy Microsoft's Windows 95? To begin the year, on January 12th, the murder trial of O.J. Simpson got underway in Los Angeles. Simpson was accused of killing his ex-wife, Nicole Brown Simpson, and her friend Ronald Goldman. On January 17th, the Los Angeles Rams football organization announced they were moving to St. Louis, Missouri. The move left LA with no football team, as the Raiders had returned to Oakland the year before. On February 15th, computer hacker Kevin Mitnick was arrested by the FBI and charged with breaking into some of the United States' most secure computer systems. Mitnick would end up spending 5 years in prison for his crimes. On March 1st, the Grammy Awards were held, and Sheryl Crow was named the Best New Artist, and her album, All I Wanna Do, won Record of the Year. The Song of the Year went to Bruce Springsteen for Streets of Philadelphia. On March 2nd, the website Yahoo was first incorporated. The internet company created a search directory that became the most popular search engine on the World Wide Web at the time. On March 18th, basketball superstar Michael Jordan announced that he was unretiring, and a day later he would rejoin the Chicago Bulls after a 17-month retirement and an attempt at playing pro baseball. On March 31st, singer Selena was murdered in Corpus Christi, Texas. Yolanda Saldivar was the president of her fan club and had recently been fired for embezzling money. Selena had been meeting with Saldivar in the parking lot of a Days Inn when she pulled out a revolver and shot her in the back. On April 2nd, the longest strike in Major League Baseball history ended after owners accepted the players' offer to return to work. The 232-day strike led to Major League Baseball being the first professional sports league to lose an entire postseason due to labor struggles. On April 19th, the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building in Oklahoma City was bombed. 168 people, including 8 federal marshals and 19 children, were killed by a truck bomb made by Timothy McVeigh and his accomplice, Terry Nichols. On May 17th, the city of San Diego found themselves under siege by a tank driven by Army veteran Sean Nelson. The 23-minute rampage ended when the tank became stuck on a concrete barrier. Police were able to open the tank door and ordered Nelson to surrender, but he would not comply. Police then shot Nelson, and he later died at the hospital. On May 18th, Braveheart, directed by and starring Mel Gibson, premiered at the Seattle Film Festival. The 3-hour-long historical drama depicted the life of William Wallace and his fight for Scottish independence. The film, which had some gruesome battle scenes, would go on to win the Academy Awards for Best Picture and Best Director. On May 27th, actor Christopher Reeve was riding his horse in a competition in Culpeper, Virginia, when he was thrown off. Reeve broke his neck and was paralyzed from the shoulders down. On June 13th, the third studio album by Alanis Morissette, called Jagged Little Pill, was first released. The album contained hit songs like You Oughta Know, Hand in My Pocket, and Ironic, among many others, and it would go on to win the Grammy for Album of the Year. On June 15th, During O.J. Simpson's trial, the defendant famously put on a pair of gloves that were presumably worn by the killer, and they were tight and hard to get on his hands. Simpson's attorney, Johnny Cochran, responded with, "If it doesn't fit, you must acquit." On June 27th, in Mason City, Iowa, local news anchor Jody Husentrut failed to show up to work and was reported missing. There were signs of a struggle outside of her apartment, but the investigation quickly went cold, and she has never been found. On July 4th, the joy of painting's Bob Ross died at the age of 52 from lymphoma. Ross had been a lifelong smoker, and his routine exposure to paints and solvents may have contributed to his early death. On July 17th, Forbes magazine announced that Bill Gates was the richest man in the world. His net worth at the time was $12.9 billion. On August 19th, Mike Tyson returned to the ring after serving 3 years in prison, and his opponent, Peter McNeely, only lasted 89 seconds. On September 4th, the cult TV series Xena Warrior Princess, starring Lucy Lawless, debuted in syndication. The popular fantasy show had a strong female protagonist, which led to a cult fandom that inspired other similar TV shows of the time. On October 3rd, O.J. Simpson was found not guilty for the deaths of his ex-wife Nicole Brown Simpson and her friend Ronald Goldman. The verdict was shocking, as most believed he had committed the crime. On October 16th, the Million Man March was held in Washington, D.C. The event was conceived by Nation of Islam leader Louis Farrakhan, and scores of civil rights organizations were involved in bringing over 800,000 African American men to the National Mall. On November 22nd, the first ever full-length computer-animated feature film was released in theaters. Toy Story, made by Pixar and Walt Disney Pictures, would become the second highest-grossing movie of the year. On December 7th, the rock band The Grateful Dead officially broke up after 30 years. The announcement was made a few months after lead singer and guitarist Jerry Garcia died from a heart attack at the age of 53. To finish out the year, on December 31st, fans of the comic strip Calvin and Hobbes woke up to the final original strip created by cartoonist Bill Watterson. At the height of its popularity, Calvin and Hobbes was featured in over 2,400 newspapers worldwide.